Welcome back to episode 3 of How to Buy a House. Today is a good one. We're going to talk about how to buy a house on land contract. Stay tuned. Okay, so exactly what is a land contract? All right, the reason this topic I decided to talk about it is because a few of my investors recently asked, Katina, why are my tenants asking me if they can buy my house on land contract? And so they asked, what's happening out there? So I did explain to them that in the 80s, when interest rates were extremely high, like 18 to 20%, buyers wanted to buy and sellers wanted to sell. So since the banks were so tight about financing, the sellers decided to sell the houses on land contract. Okay, so exactly how does a land contract work? Okay, so last week I wrote up an offer. It was a new potential buyer from Washington, D.C. He saw one of my listings online. He called me up and he was ready to write an offer on land contract. Now, the way the deal was structured is the total price was going to be $50,000. The down payment was going to be $10,000. And the monthly payment was going to be $312 per month. Now, needless to say, the seller didn't like $312 per month, and the deal did not work out. We were not able to get this deal to work out, but that is basically how a land contract is structured. A land contract is seller financing. You are purchasing the property using installment payments, and you're paying the seller directly opposed to paying the bank when you don't actually know who the owner is. That's really that's the key difference. Another difference too with buying on land contract is that they're not as strict as it is when you're getting financing, where they want to scrutinize your credit score and your credit report. All right, so let's get back on topic, back on schedule. How exactly do you buy a land contract? All right, step number 1 is you want to call up your favorite realtor and you want to start doing your research online, looking at listings. Now, all of the properties you see are not available for land contract. So that's the first misconception that I see a lot. People will call up and say, yes, I want to buy 123 Main Street and I want to buy it on land contract. So I'm like, nope, it doesn't work that easy. The seller has to agree to land contract terms, and in many cases, they don't want to agree to that, or they may need all of their money. And so let's get right back though to the buyer from DC. He had a long conversation or a lot to say about Detroiters and land contract before we actually got to the point of writing an offer, but he did not understand why many of his offers were being rejected. And so I explained to him, we got a hot market here. So these sellers don't have to offer land contracts. So, he was like, well, they don't understand. And I said, they understand. It's just that they don't want to do land contracts. So with that being said, the seller has to be willing to do a land contract, and they have to understand exactly how it works. Because with land contract, the seller, it really is like rent to own for a seller, because if the buyer defaults, then the seller has to take the property back, possibly fix the property up again. It could be really problematic. So that is why all properties are not willing to offer land contract terms. So make sure that you read the listing and it says something to the degree of land contract available or flexible land contract terms. Step 2 on how to buy a house on land contract terms. All right, step number 2 is to get your money together and make a decision on what kind of down payment you can afford. Now, typically the average down payment for land contract In Detroit, I would say is $3,000 to $15,000 down. That's your down payment. Some of the suburbs I've seen them offer land contract with $25,000 down, or $35,000 or $50,000. So it all depends. But step 2 is get your proof of funds together. All right. Step 3, be prepared to have your check stubs available and possibly your tax returns as well. And again, because like I said before, it could get problematic if the seller has to take the house back because the buyer defaults on the loan. So that's really it. Buying a land contract house is not very difficult to do as long as you follow that step 1, 2, and 3. So I'll go over those again. Step 1, do your research. Make sure that you are looking at houses that clearly state land contract terms available. Step 2, get your proof of funds together. Step 3, be prepared to provide check stubs and to provide possible tax returns. But yes, the sellers, some of the sellers will require a minimum credit score in order to choose you to buy their house on land contract. So what are the benefits of buying a house on land contract? Well, number 1, it's a great way to get your foot in the door and become a first-time homeowner. That's a good way. If your credit score is not above 600, you might want to look into land contracts if you're totally tired of renting. What's a benefit for a seller to do land contract? Well, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, when interest rates were high, that is how many of the real estate transactions were conducted. All right, so that's it. That is how to buy a house on land contract. If you found this video useful, tag a friend, comment below so that I can send you a list of land contract properties in the Metro Detroit area. So that's it. That's your real estate news from the D. And I am Katina Willis, and I will see you on the next one, which is going to be a really good one. Bye.